Hi everyone, this is Paul Garrard. I'm founder and president of PGPresents, an independent student loan consulting company. We've put together a series of repayment modules that are designed to help you guys do a better job of managing your student loans. Module number 6 is how to possibly get a zero calculated payment with an income-driven repayment plan during your first year of residency. Now, perhaps some obvious answers to why you might be interested in a zero payment your first year of training. First of all, obviously, it will help with cash flow as you start your residency program and are learning to budget as a first year resident. You might actually need zero payments to help pay down consumer debts or private loans that are coming due from college. That's another way that having a zero calculated payment could help you with cash flow. But another reason is that a zero calculated payment on an income-driven repayment plan like Pay or Repay counts as a qualifying payment toward the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program for those of you interested in PSLF, as long as you are meeting the other requirements for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So there are a number of reasons why zero payments might be important to you. Now, a reminder of something we covered in an earlier module. The formula for calculating payments under an income-driven repayment plan like Pay or Repay looks at income and family size. And folks, the income used in the calculation either comes from a prior year tax return or from your current income if either you didn't file a return the past 2 years or your current income has significantly decreased from what you reported on a prior year tax return. So then how do you actually get a zero calculated payment? Well, perhaps the easiest way is to file a return for the 2019 year, even if your income was zero, because remember, the formula looks at a prior year adjusted gross income from the most recent tax return. But if you're watching this after the tax filing deadline, and perhaps you did not file a return in either of the prior 2 years, which would not be unusual since you were students, the only other way to get a zero payment is to consolidate right after school, but before your residency program starts. In other words, before you start working. And what you'll see is that when you consolidate, you actually apply for your repayment plan at the same time. And when you answer the current income question, you can indicate at that time that you are not currently working, that you have no current income because you have not started your residency program yet. So how does consolidation allow you to do this? Well, first of all, you cannot waive the 6-month grace period that you have on, for example, your direct unsubsidized loans. And so you can't contact your loan servicer and say, hey, I just don't want my grace period. I hadn't started working yet in my residency program, and I want to go ahead and apply right now for Pay and Repay while I'm not working. You can't do that. And so when you apply for your income plan in late summer or early fall toward the end of your grace period, and this would be when your loan servicer is contacting you about selecting a repayment plan, you're already making a stipend as a resident. And if you didn't file a return for either of the prior 2 years, you're going to have to list your current income and provide pay stubs, and your loan servicer is likely going to use the information from your pay stubs about your stipend to calculate your monthly payment. But here's why consolidation lets you get around that. Federal consolidation loans don't have grace periods. They enter repayment immediately. And we hope you'll watch the module on consolidation, because remember, all federal consolidation is, it's paying off all the loans you have and replacing them with one brand new loan. Well, consolidation loans don't have grace periods. They enter repayment immediately. And so if you consolidate after graduation before your residency program starts, once again, you apply for repayment on your consolidation loan at the same time. And if you consolidate before residency starts, you can honestly say, I don't have any current income. And that is likely what would be used to calculate your monthly payment with your income plan on your new consolidation loan. So in summary, how can you possibly get a zero payment your first year of training? Try and keep this simple. The easiest way to get a zero payment your first year is to file a tax return for the 2019 year, even if your income was zero, because once again, the formula to calculate your payment looks at a prior year adjusted gross income number from a prior year tax return. But if you did not file a return in either of the prior 2 years, perhaps you're watching this or listening to this after the tax deadline and you didn't file a return for either of the prior 2 years, consider consolidating right after school but before residency starts. And when you consolidate and you ask for an income-driven repayment plan, you can answer the current income question by saying that you are currently not working and you have no income. And that is what should result in a zero payment for many of you if you are consolidating right after school before residency starts. Now, some very important reminders: a zero calculated payment on an income-driven repayment plan does count as a qualifying payment for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, assuming other requirements are met, simply meaning that the payments are on a direct loan and that the payments are being made while you're working full-time for an eligible nonprofit. Once again, around 97% of teaching hospitals are nonprofit employers. Zero payments obviously do nothing to help you pay down your debt, but we've already covered why a zero payment might be important to you for cash flow purposes, and again, it counts toward PSLF. Payments on income plans are good for 12 months, so if you get a zero calculated payment the first year of training, it should be for 12 months. And a reminder, this is different than forbearance. Forbearance is where you contact your loan servicer and say, I don't want to be making any payments. I want you to postpone payments. A zero calculated payment is actually considered you being actively in repayment on your student loans. Now, a few more reminders as we close up this module. We cannot promise you that you will get a zero calculated payment when you first apply for your income-driven repayment plan. We are simply going through the way that the calculation works and the way that consolidation works. And I assure you, we would not be covering this if we didn't know that this has worked previously for other borrowers. But your servicers are ultimately going to determine the repayment amount. Married borrowers may not see a zero payment. That simply is going to depend on spousal income. Zero means zero, no payment required. So if you do have a calculated payment of zero for the first 12 months with your income-driven repayment plan, you are not required to pay anything, not even $1. Zero means zero. And a reminder that zero does nothing to help you pay down your debt, but it can certainly help with cash flow. And as we've already said several times, a zero calculated payment does count as a qualifying payment for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, assuming other requirements are being met. This is the end of module number 6.